Hey, what is going on, all my fellow godlies and Warframe enthusiasts around the world? I'm Vance, bringing you yet another episode of Warframe God Builds ReForged. And can we talk for a second? Equinox. It's 2019. I don't even know why we're still having this debate, but people are still calling it a she. And that's kind of an issue, especially to me, because I'm an artist, therefore I'm gonna go with the original artist's ideas and side with them. And state that, yeah, it's definitely a female and a male. Because, I mean, look here. It's a girl, right? Looks like a girl. Now, it's kind of like an amalgamation of both. And watch this big change. Boom. Like, I don't know. I don't even know why we're still debating this. Warframes, they don't have genders. Because it was revealed to us that they're just like a mechanical shell with a little organic tissue on the inside, heavily inspired by Guyver the Bio-Boosted Armor anime series. So, with that out of the way, let's get straight into what makes Equinox better than what it used to be. So originally, I didn't really like the idea of Equinox, but oh my god, this space Barbie just looks so good. Not to mention the fact that this looks like Khepri. That's why my loadout is named that, because Khepri, the Egyptian god, the scarab god. Nice, very nice. So I'm going to be rolling with Energy Siphon, Power Drift, Vitality, Adaption, Augur Reach, Umbra Intensify, Prime Flow, Stretch, Peaceful Provocation, Transient Fortitude, and then I have Arcane Energize and Arcane Grace. Wishing that Eidolon hunting would yield a little bit better results, because I've been going at this for a long time and I only have enough to make one rank 1 Arcane Energize and one rank 2 Arcane Grace. That's kinda sad drop rates, like really sad drop rates. Hint, DE. Yeah, it shouldn't be months into my gameplay, years into my gameplay, without having one of these maxed, because I've never traded for any of the ones that I've gotten. That drop rate is that bad. So you're probably wondering why I went with what I went. Well, I'm gonna show you that 200% power strength is the way to go, especially for you dayformers out there who love to go in there and just clear rooms. This is going to work great. This also works really wonderful for Nightform as well, because it's going to help you with the slow effects. So Equinox has the potential to replace a Slova if you yield it so. Otherwise you're going to go through Dayform and just murder everything in sight. I mean, that's kind of the go-to. There's little room for CC in this game anymore. So Energy Siphon and Arcane Energize, just because Equinox is very power hungry. And when I say very power hungry, I mean that's an understatement. She gobbles up energy like it's a turkey roast dinner. It's just going to be a really harsh deal for you, and you're going to want to make sure that everybody is affected by your statuses, whether it's the slow or the damage. You want to get your range up as much as possible, so Stretch and Augur Reach. The only thing else to address here, aside from the augment, which you already know why, you already know the business, you've seen the original god builds for this chick, or dude, whatever, gender bender, hashtag gender bender for the win. Not discriminating, I'm totally for LGBT community here. If you want to do anything to your body, go for it, man. My body, my temple. No judgment here. But adaptation is one of those things that make sure that any damage coming into your body is going to be 10% resisted, and the damage type for 20 seconds stacks up to 90%. So I mean, this is definitely going to help with tankiness, but I have an ace up my sleeve, and I'll talk about that later on in the video. For right now, we're just going to move on to some of the weapons that I'm using. Now, I am using lens thematically for this loadout, but I'm going to show you something else. I present to you the Exsurgus. Man, I don't really even know what to say about this shotgun, because it surprised me a whole hell of a lot, and I'm just wishing that I could get a Riven to replace Chilling Grasp or something within this loadout, like Chilling Reload, so that way I can roll it until I have something that benefits me for reload, because the damage on this thing is really good. I mean, if I had a Riven for damage like multi-shot, crit, whatever, and it had reload, that would be like a wet dream come true. How unappropriate for a video like this, but Prime Point Blank is what I'm rolling with. Vigilant Armaments, Toxic Barrage, Chilling Reload, Chilling Grass, Blaze, Vicious Spread, and Hell's Chamber. This thing works wonders. It's great. It's really, really good. It's like an alternative to, Heck, yeah. I mean, Laser. That's about the only difference. I mean, and it's pump action, so I mean, you have to reload after every shot, and that's kind of why I went the Riven for reload. But other than that, it's a solid primary weapon to use for Equinox. This next weapon hits me right in the feels because that Limbo Deluxe skin was just bae. Like, I can't even right now. Like, you're throwing cards like Gambit. It's so good. It's so good. But I'm not using these for practicality. In fact, if you take a look at the mod setup, it's not even really geared towards damage. I mean, barrel diffusion's here, but it doesn't need to be. I just put a little bit of damage mods in here because I am going to be throwing at enemies sometimes, but primarily why I'm using concealed explosives is for the Slova version of Equinox, which is the night form. You queue your third ability, which will allow you to build up to a 80% slow over time, so you can damage yourself at the start of a mission and then re-up yourself and heal with the secret tactic I'm going to be sharing again later in this video. But this is definitely, you just, like, if you already know that, like, I think that my favorite thing to use slow Equinox on is probably the missions where you're extracting the hostages, and that they have oxygen tanks, and you know, it's usually I can't think of the name right now, but it's usually infested that are attacking them. So Equinox night form really helps out in that mission. So I would suggest putting concealed explosives on your Spire Prime, starting the mission by queuing up your third ability, going to town on yourself, healing yourself, rinse, repeat until you have the 80% slow, and the rest of the mission is going to be all downhill from there. Again, another weapon I'm just using because it's thematically awesome, and that's the Dual Commas Prime, but I can't really remember ever showcasing a build for this, so I thought I would just recommend that you use whatever you want as long as it's slash heavy, and show this build off. So I've got Crossing Snakes here, Prime Pressure Point, Organ Shatter, Blood Rush, Drifting Contact, Gladiator Vice, Shocking Touch, Fever Strike, and True Steel. Now if I'm gonna rant, I'm gonna rant. I think that the update for letting us switch to melee with just a melee attack was great. Like, it's good, really good. I give it a solid A+. But it's not a good thing for some weapons like Dual Commas, especially for Haruto, because the quick attacks were simply better. I mean, monumentally better, not just a little better, but monumentally better. And Crossing Snakes is one of those that the stances are just not that great. And I wish, instead of just changing things completely, Digital Extremes would put like a little button somewhere that allows us to use the recreational way, the legitimate old school way, because for some of these loadouts, I would still be using the quick attacks. Haruto, Dual Commas Prime, but I mean other weapons like Galatine and Paracesis and stuff like that, they don't really suffer from that. I really don't worry about that. But for weapons like these, the stances just suck. Maybe the band-aid fix to this would be to add a new mod which allows for quick attacks. So you incorporate a stance mod that is literally just the old school quick attacks for that weapon. That would also be very awesome. So, hint, second hint in a row, Digital Extremes. Pay attention. You can take some notes here. I'm going to skip over the focus lens that we're using just for a second because I felt it appropriate to show off my companion and the newest setup I have for it. I've got my Adarza named Holocaust, which is very appropriate because it's pretty much a war sphinx. You have Reflect, Venom Teeth, Frost Jaw, Link Armor, Link Metapet Kit, Fetch, Link Health, Primed Animal Instinct, Pack Leader, and Cat's Eye. This is going to cost 4 Forma, but it's well worth it because this Adarza hardly goes down. The only time it really gets caught is like in an Eidolon fight when the EMP goes off and I'm nowhere near it. But usually, I mean, it's good. I've seen it survive really high level content. I mean, it can take a royal beating, and if you're meleeing often, you're not going to have to worry about much because Pack Leader is going to keep your Kavat healed. So, I mean, I feel as though this loadout is very melee happy and melee centric. Since I'm originally using the lens for it, I don't have a whole lot of ammo to spare. I really just use that for like crowd control in ESO. Like when I don't have enough energy, I usually rely on a Trinity to come along, but sometimes I play ESO randomly, so that's why I use lenses, just to try to keep up the efficiency whenever possible. But aside from that, I mean, this companion is going to go the distance, especially for Eidolon hunting, which is primarily what I use it for. I just wanted to showcase it on this build because, honestly, it's an all Egyptian themed loadout, so let's roll with that. Now here's where I get into some heavy updated stuff. The focus lenses that you're using. I at this time would like to announce a operator god build. That is in the works because I have been seeing lots of results with my operator real recently. And I would like to say that if you're not using Xenuric on an Equinox and your Arcane Energize isn't maxed out, I don't know how you're keeping up your energy pool because Equinox is just so energy hungry. You're going to want to go into the Xenuric lens and then make sure you max out the Void Dash. This is going to save you so much time in the long run. As a matter of fact, if you're a relatively newer player, as soon as you are able to access Xenuric, choose it because it's probably the most important lens, especially for early goings. You can use a bunch of different lenses for a bunch of different things, but I feel as though Xenuric is the most useful to you in the early goings. And even in your veteran gameplay, you're still going to need energy from certain warframes. You're not always going to be able to rely on a Trinity or a companion, or you're just going to need this. So Xenuric is I use it on majority of my warframes. For warframes that don't really have a problem with energy, I don't worry about Xenuric, but that's going to be something that you worry about later on. I also have Void Siphon, which increases operator energy regeneration by 90%. That's effective for Eidolon hunting. Same thing with Void Flow. I will be working on Lightning Dash and also Void Static, but that's something that I want to talk about in the Operator God build, because as you can see, I have basically every Waybound passive unlocked. There's only a few I'm missing so far, so we'll talk more in depth about that later. But for right now, just note that you're gonna need an energizing dash with Equinox. There's just no way around it, unless your roommate is Trinity and you never play Warframe without your roommate. So that's kind of weird. I'm not gonna question that, but hey, whatever. Finally now, as I promised earlier in the video, I'm going to talk about my secret method that renders Life Strike and Healing Return obsolete. And that is this good old enhancement, Magus Repair. Magus Repair at rank 3 on Void mode heals Warframes within 20 meters by 20% health over time. I can honestly say that this one arcane enhancement outdoes everything else in the game, no matter what it is, whether it's Meta Pet Kit, Pack Leader, Life Strike, Healing Return. Like, it's better than all of them. You don't have to put yourself at risk. You go into Operator mode, you go into Void mode where you're invincible, and you heal everyone within 20 meters. This goes for companions, your teammates. I've seen it work with some specters, although I don't know whether or not it's intended, because sometimes it hasn't worked with specters. It's one of those things. You just got to do it. And if you do max one of these puppies out, and maybe you want to double up on them and get 2 sets of them, you're not going to need healing mods at all. You're not going to need Life Strike. You're not going to need Healing Return. And this is going to free up mod slots. I mean, you could even go so far as to make your Warframes a little less tanky to free up mod slots because of this arcane enhancement. Just get into the habit of going into Transference and going into Void mode, and you're good. Like, it heals very, very quickly. I've been able to heal Chroma, Zenaros, Nidus in a matter of a couple of seconds. It's very, very quick. I can't say enough about this. It's just one of the most wonderful things ever added to the game, and I feel as though right now it's critically underrated. So definitely go to Fortuna and pick yourself up 10 of these so that you can max it out to rank 3 and get the most from it. You're not going to regret it. It's got my seal of approval. In conclusion, Equinox has slowly risen to one of my favorite frames, hence the reason why it's got one of my loadouts dedicated completely to it now. I would highly recommend that you try Equinox if you haven't already because, well, it's geared towards most anything that you can throw it at in in-game content. Whether it's survivals, interceptions, defense, ESO, even arbitrations. As long as you're careful, you can do a lot of good with Equinox. So as long as you're really careful, you can do a lot of good. So this has been Vance, coming at you with another Warframe God Builds. And if you like what you saw, you learned something from it, do as I always encourage you to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that shenanigans. I am still working on the animations that I live streamed 3 weeks ago. It's just I've got a lot of real life situations that I have to prioritize over the animation, so I have an animation team, and we're still building towards the big Murakumo versus special guest video, and we're also planning on doing some ARCs related content there soon after. Not sure when all of that is coming along, but you know, I want to make sure that I'm good in my personal life. So there's some big videos coming out. A surprise video is just around the corner. So be patient, my fellow godlies, and you will see a brand new horizon on this page. Alright, Vance. This has been Vance, signing out. Peace.